Again, let us continue our reading of the book of Changing Destiny. 4 lessons wrote by Liao Feng. Now, we are still in the way of changing destiny now. Yes, the way of changing destiny. We are still in the first lesson. We have read Learning to Create Destiny. After reading Introduction, we have read Master Yungu's advice of changing destiny. Then we read the principles of changing destiny. Now, we are going to read the ways of changing destiny, which have to acknowledge our faults, to reform our faults thoroughly, to surpass destiny, and to teach children. Before we go to the second lesson, we are still in the first lesson. Let us read. Excuse me. The ways of changing destiny. A. To acknowledge our faults. Master Yungu then asked what were Mr. Kong's predictions regarding my entire life. Excuse me. I honestly told him the whole story. He then asked if I felt that I deserved imperial appointments or a son. I reflected upon my previous deeds and attitudes in the past for a long time. Then I answered him that no, I did not feel that I deserved any imperial appointment or a son. Those who received imperial appointments all had the appearance of good fortune, and I did not. I did not work towards accumulating virtues to build up my good fortune, and I did not. I did not work towards accumulating virtues to build up my good fortune either. I was very impatient and narrow-minded. Sometimes I would show off my intelligence and talent in putting down others. I also behaved arbitrarily and spoke without any sense of restraint. These were all signs of scant good fortune and virtue. How could I possibly receive an imperial appointment? Now, Master Gun did not directly answer to the question. Rather, he asked Mr. Liao Feng a question to teach him to reflect within to find the root cause of his faults and suffering, to determine whether he deserved an imperial appointment or not. Whether he deserved to have a son. The discussion between Master Wungu and Mr. Liao Fang did not only include these two questions, but to Mr. Liao Fang, these two were the most important and the ones he was most concerned about. Thus, there was no need to mention the rest. Mr. Liao Fang thought for a long time about what Master Yungu had asked. He then honestly answered that no, he deserved neither an imperial appointment nor a son. On his honesty, Mr. Shi Ying Yu, in his commentary of Liao Fang's 4 lessons, stated, quote, "Honesty is the foundation in the developing virtue. If a person hides or glosses over his or her faults or covers up mistakes, how can his or her future be promising? When we are honest and encounter benevolent teachers, they will be protective and guide us on the right path. On the other hand, if we were dishonest and arrogant, they will smile, but they will not seriously teach us." Mr. Liao Fang deeply regretted his faults, and this became the key to changing his destiny. He told Master Yungu that he did not deserve an imperial appointment because he did not have the appearance of good fortune. It is necessary for government officials to have good fortune, or else the citizens will suffer. When they do have good fortune, people will benefit. Upon examination of ancient social systems, we see that educated and logical people did not have disputes. Also, some emperors were very wise and enlightened. For example, Taoism and Tang Dynasty, over 1,000 years, was extremely learned and broad-minded and was thus admired by the people. He said, quote, "What is so good about being an emperor? To be one is a grave responsibility. If you want to be one, you can take my place." He did not personally enjoy being an emperor, did not intimidate others, but served the people, created happiness for them, and found capable scholars to work on behalf of the empire. All carrying government officials have the appearance of sign of good fortune. Mr. Liao Fang at this time in his life had very little good fortune and was unable or unwilling to cultivate any. Thus, he did not even have the appearance of a government official. So, at this time, he was not adequate to serve and to lead. Next, Mr. Liao Fang explained that he was very impatient, intolerant, and undisciplined. 3 serious faults. Being impatient and bad-tempered gives us the appearance of scant good fortune. A narrow-minded person is unable to tolerate others. These bad qualities will render a person unable to properly choose and supervise, or let people unable to justly serve others. Also, he frankly admitted that he was self-indulgent and liked to show off his intelligence. He did whatever he wanted. This is also something not readily endured by others. He was indiscreet, irresponsible in his speech, and lacked considerably for others. All these faults bring us misfortune rather than good fortune. People who truly have good fortune are kind-hearted and honest, broad-minded and tolerant of others. They are calm and dignified in speech and manner. Confucius said, quote, "One does not inspire respect when one is not dignified." Again, one does not inspire respect when one is not dignified. Only with dignity and the ability to inspire respect are we able to convince people to effectively interact with them. Mr. Liao Fang admitted that when he was young, he simply was not calm and dignified enough, and cited this as one of the reasons that he lacked good fortune and was thus undeserving of an imperial appointment. There is an old saying, quote, "Life springs from the dirt of the earth. Clear water often harbors no fish." Again, life springs from the dirt of the earth. Clear water often harbors no fish. The first reason why I felt that I did not deserve a son was that I was overly attached to cleanliness. The second reason was that harmony is the cultivator of all life. But I was quick-tempered and easily became angry. The third reason was based on the principle that loving kindness is the root of reproduction of harshness. No, yes, I repeat. The third reason was based on the principle that loving kindness is the root of reproduction and harshness is the root of sterility. I overly guarded my own reputation and could not sacrifice anything for the sake of others. The fourth reason was that I talked too much, which wasted a lot of chi or energy. The fifth reason was that I indulged in drinking. The sixth reason that I did not have a son was my habit of staying up nights, not knowing how to conserve my energy. Aside from this, I had many other faults that were too numerous to mention. A proverb tells us that when the ground is not clean, it will grow things. But when the water is too clear, it will have no fish. Why? Fish know that in clear water, fishermen will easily catch them. So, they do not swim in clear water. It could also be said that when the ground is too clean, without dirt, nothing could grow. Mr. Liu Fang had an exaggerated fear of things not being clean. Being clean and neat is a good quality. However, to be overly so becomes a problem and obsession. It is not good to be unable to tolerate even the slightest bit of grime. This is the first lesson he did not deserve a son. Harmony can help a family to prosper. As is said, quote, friendliness is conducive to wealth. Again, friendliness is conducive to wealth. The fact that Mr. Liu Fang is not wealthy is partially due to his bad temper. Since he was not wealthy, this placed his family in a precarious financial situation. Also, he often became angry at the least provocation. He could not tolerate anything displeasing. To behave in this manner results in a lack of good fortune and is the second reason he did not deserve a son. Loving kindness is benevolence and consideration for others. Mr. Liu Fang understood these principles, but was unable to achieve them. Why? Because he was a very unkind person. In other words, he overvalued his reputation and was unwilling to help others, which is another reason why he did not deserve a son. The fourth reason, is that he talked too much, which frankly wasted a lot of energy. From his introspection, Mr. Liao Fang came up with 6 major reasons why he did not have children. The first 3 being overly concerned with cleanliness, being quick-tempered, quick-temperate, and lacking loving kindness were from the aspect of intention, the mind. The next 3, talking too much, drinking and staying up all night, were from the aspect of behavior, the body. He liked to talk and criticize others. He indulged in gossip about others' faults and liked winning arguments with others. These harm the body and exhaust our energy. He also liked to drink excessively, which harms the mind and exhausts our spirit. Last, he said he did not deserve a son because he spent the night chatting with friends, drinking, having a good time, and not bothering to take good care of his health. By realizing that he had so many bad habits and faults, Mr. Liao Fang honestly admitted and felt remorse for all his erroneous behavior. To acknowledge all his offenses without concealing any secret is to regret and eradicate one's karmic obstacles. Regret and eradicate one's karmic obstacle is to acknowledge all his offense without concealing any secret of it. Let us continue. Thus, this must be done sincerely to be effective. Yes, again, to acknowledge all his offenses without concealing any secrets is to regret and eradicate one's karmic obstacles. This must be done sincerely to be effective. Awakening is achieved when we are able to identify our faults. Cultivation is accomplished when we have realized these erroneous ways and rectified them. Since most people are not yet aware of their faults, they are not yet truly cultivating. Cultivation is to correct our own erroneous ways, to correct our deviation thoughts and behaviors. Therefore, the first step in correcting our false ways is to recognize them and to be able to turn over to a new leaf. Mr. Liao Feng was so amazing because once Master Yonggu questioned him, he was able to carefully and completely consider to discover all his faults one by one. And this is the basis cause of how he was able to change his destiny from that point on. How was he able to change his destiny? And why are we unable to do so? We are completely ignorant of our own faults. So, we are unable to correct them. He was able to reflect within, to uncover and to change each of his faults one by one. In so doing, he attained what he sought. On the inside, virtues and caring conduct, and on outside, wealth and children. Mr. Liao Feng did not seek from the outside. We did not see him bowing and burning incense in front of great compassion Bodhisattva, seeking children, fame, wealth, and prestige. But nowadays, people seek by merely going through the formalities of blindly worshipping. They do not understand the principles. They seek what they desire, but this is the wrong way to do so. They will not be able to attain what they seek in this way. From day to night, we seek countless people going, from day to night, we see countless people going to temples, burning candles and incense, while asking for wealth and children, attaining what their destiny had already entitled them to have, what they would have attained without having to plead for them. In their ignorance, they think what they received was granted by the grace of deities. Buddhist practitioners need to understand the truths, to seek what we desire in accordance with the teachings. As Master Yonggu said, quote, to gain both on the inside and on the outside. In this way, there is nothing that we cannot attain. Master Yonggu then said, quote, according to you, then, there are many things in life you do not deserve, not only fame and a son. Those who have millions of dollars in this life must have cultivated the good fortune worthy of that amount in the past. Those who have thousands of dollars must also have good fortune, which is worthy of generating that sum. No, which is worthy of generating that sum. Those who die of starvation were meant to die in that manner. The karmic result today is simply the fruit of their deeds. Heavenly beings do not have any intention for us. This advice from Master Yungu is most important and must not be regarded as mere superstitions. For to do so is to be deluded and thus to be unable to believe the words of sages, to believe the true reality. Master Yun Gu taught Mr. Liao Fang to honestly reflect within and to be self-critical. This enabled him to recognize his many faults. I quote again. Master Yun Gu taught Mr. Liao Fang to honestly reflect within and to be self-critical. This enabled him to recognize his many faults. Thus, the greatest virtues deed is for us to recognize and change our erroneous ways. Making offerings to infinite sages is a great virtuous deed, but we learn from the Infinite Life Sutra that it is even better to turn back from delusion and to earnestly and diligently cultivate. To do so is to turn over a new leaf. What ancient sages describe it as the great virtue of regretting and reforming. What ancient sages describe it as the great virtue of regretting and reforming. Master Yungu told Mr. Liao Fang that apparently he felt there were many things in life that he did not deserve. Not only a son or an imperial appointment, attaining a high grade in examinations and the result imperial appointment both rely on the cultivation and accumulation of merits from our past life. Those who have millions of dollars in this life talks about wealth and social position, for which we also need the right destiny. They are not randomly attained. In Buddhism, it is said that for us to possess immense wealth in this life, we need to have extensively practiced the giving of health in our past life. Can we force nature to grant us wealth? Impossible. To try to do so will bring disaster and misfortune. Neither misfortunes nor good fortune come with our reasons and conditions. We incur them. That is the quotation. Neither misfortunes nor good fortune come without reasons and conditions. We incur them. The ancient Chinese who created Chinese characters had great wisdom. The two characters for fortune and misfortune are very similar, differing only the slightest bit. Thus, a small discrepancy leads to a great error. All this helps us to understand cause and effect. To understand that means we seek fame, wealth, and prestige in accordance with the teachings. We will find that everything is attainable. Millions of dollars represents wealth of the upper class. Thousands of dollars represent wealth of the middle class because of the good cause planted in past lives. Some people will possess upper or middle class wealth. Those who were meant to starve to death have committed numerous evil offenses in their past lives. They did not practice giving, but instead were stingy, and miserly. Unfortunately, there are many people like this in the world today. They are unwilling to do even the sadness of good deeds or to give even a penny. They encourage others to give, but do not follow their own advice. We know they will undergo the consequence of being poor in their next life. We all undergo the consequences from our causes. They are not imposed on us by an outside power that is controlling our lives. The Master said that the heavens do not more than punish those who are bad with the suffering they have coming and reward those who are kind with the good fortune they are worthy of. Some people in this world assume that everything is arranged by the will of heavenly beings. But this is not so. The true cause of everything that happens to us is our own behavior. Heavenly beings do not have any intention for us. Only the great sages with true wisdom are able to see clearly the truth of reality. Whether to be wealthy with a good social position or to be poor with none is all within our destiny. For example, if a person has accumulated enough merits and virtues for 100 generations, then he or she will have descendants to last 100 generations. One who accumulates enough merits and virtues to last 10 generations will then have 10 generations of descendants to live out that good fortune. The same goes for 3 generations or 2 generations. For those who have no descendants at all, it is because they have not accumulated enough good merits and virtues. This talks about the destiny in having or not having children. If we have accumulated enough merits and virtues for 100 generations, then we will have 100 generations of descendants. Great Master Yin Guan often praised Confucius, who cultivated the virtue of 100 generations. Confucius' real name is Confucius. Constantly thought of benefiting the country and people without slightest thought of self. He dedicated his whole life to educate and pass it on his ideas and aspirations to his students. He was the greatest educator in Chinese history. There have now been over 70 generations of Confucius descendants, and his current descendant, Mr. De Shekong, is still respected by people around the world. Not only the Chinese, but others such as American are particularly courteous and respectful, warmly welcoming him upon hearing that he is the descendant of Confucius. It becomes very evident that by planting good seeds or causes, we reap good harvest or result. In Liu Fang's 4 lessons, we read that when we accumulate enough merits and virtues for 10 generations, we will have 10 generations of descendants to live out that good fortune. In Chinese history, emperors would try to establish dynasties that were able to reign for many generations, like the Qing dynasty, which lasted for 10 generations. But if their ancestors had not accumulated enough merits and virtues, then it would have been impossible. Today, people do not believe this. They think all they need is ability, good political tactics, and knowledge. But they are wrong. Virtues accumulated by our ancestors plus our own virtues conduct from our past lives will result in having similar virtues, people being born into our family. Thus, its continuation is assured. For instance, for how many generations will a family business last? In Taiwan, there is a chain of medical stores called the Universal Compassion Home that originated in Beijing. By the accumulation of virtues and merits, it has been in business for over 100 years and has been passed down from one generation to the next. Compassionate ancestors whose driving goal was to be able to keep the store going so they could help to save lives, began it. Unconcerned about profits, they only wanted to make enough to be able to live very simple. So, their goal has not been to make a profit or to enjoy a life of ease and comfort, but to benefit society and to help people who were suffering. With this objective, they were able to found a business that has lasted over 100 years. If the descendants do not deviate from their ancestors' objectives, this change will be able to continue forever. They will not be like others who, lacking merits and virtues, found their business going bankrupt after only a few years. Bankrupt. Some may only have enough merits and virtues to last for 2 or 3 generations of descendants. The Chinese have a saying that, quote, there are 3 serious occurrences in being unfilial, with no future generation being the most critical. This is lacking in merit and virtue to the point of not being able to have any descendants. In the past, people were extremely concerned about this. But today, things are very different. Many young couples do not even want to have children, thinking them too much trouble. Also, our society is different from that of the past because we now have social welfare. Just a minute. In many countries, who takes care of the elderly? The country does. We've no need to rely on their children to provide for them when they become older. Many couples have decided that they can do without children. They can retire at the age of 65 and collect Social Security every month from the government. This is even more filial than our own children are. This is possible because the current social welfare system is so much better than what transpired in the past. Before, the elderly could only rely on their children for support, whereas now the current trend is towards having the government to help take care of the elderly. However, the law of cause and effect will not change. I quote, "Just as one stores up grain, again lend years, one raises children against old age," has been a commonly held idea. I repeat, just as one stores up grain against length years, one raises children against old age. Mr. Yu, in his commentary, examined the teaching of transcending this world. He said, quote, "Sages transcending this world consider the cultivation of ending desires and love, ridding themselves of delusion to obtain wisdom, and transcending the ordinary to become a sage, to be the utmost virtue and merit." Regretfully, this level of attainment is not understood by ordinary people. Full stop. This idea is raising children against old age still exists today. Usually, when young people generate the heart to become monks and nuns, their parents, relatives, and friends try their best to think of ways to stop them. They do not understand, for they still think like before, that not having a next generation is their biggest concern. Buddhism looks into the three times of the past, present, and future. It sees and understands the truths of life and the universe. Ordinary people only see a tiny portion of this universe, not the whole. Of the entire universe, they have only witnessed the human realm. In the human realm, they only see the present, neither the past nor the future. Therefore, they are unable to see as perfectly as do Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. When someone in a family becomes a monk or nun, it is truly the most joyful occasion, the most outstanding pursuit. However, we must practice earnestly in renouncing worldly life. For if we do not achieve, while our families will not be harmed, we will fall into the three bad realms. In Buddhism, it is often said, quote, "One grain of rice from a donor is as great as Mount Semeru." Not transcending the cycle of birth and death in this lifetime consigns us to put on animal skin and earn to pay back the debts. this is obviously very serious. As Pure Line practitioners, we have to achieve a certain level of attainment and to transcend the six realms to be born into the Western Pure Line. Theravada practitioners need to at least reach the level of stream enterer. This is achieved by severing various wrong views. It is the first of the 4 stages of sagehood in Theravada Buddhism. By attaining the fruit of non-returning, we will be considered a sage. At this point in achievement, we will continue to be born into the heaven and human realms, and in this way are assured of attaining the state of Arhat, although it may take a long time to do so. But by not falling into the 3 bad realms, we are considered to have achieved attainment. According to this criterion, the minimum standard to achieve attainment in Mahayana Buddhism is to rid ourselves of a portion of our attachments, to serve the 88 kinds of deviated thoughts and viewpoints. If we cannot rid ourselves of these 88 kinds of deviated thoughts and viewpoints, then we have simply not achieved. In achieving this, in the perfect Mahayana teaching, we reach the initial belief stage. In the Theravada teaching, we reach the initial fruit of stream entered, attained by destroying various wrong views, the first of the 4 stages of sainthood. Not accomplishing this will find us still reincarnating within the 6 realms, still paying back our debts. For monks and nuns, this means we will have to pay back every single offering from the 10 directions that were enjoyed during the time we were monks and nuns. These offerings were not given without expectation of a reward. We have to pay them back. If we are able to achieve the levels of stream enterer, or to sever the 88 kinds of improper thoughts and viewpoints for Theravada and Mahayana practitioners, respectively, those who have made the offerings will receive the benefits of good fortune. Then there is no need for us to pay them back, because they have harvested from the field of merit. Using this as the standard, It is not achievable by monks and nuns of this generation who has the ability to achieve this. But there is still another way to seek birth into the Western Pure Land. Otherwise, achievement is not possible. If we cannot go to the Pure Land, we will have achieved nothing. Seeking birth into the Pure Land is actually much simpler than severing the 88 kinds of improper thoughts and viewpoints. To be born into the Pure Land is not necessary to sever these improper thoughts and viewpoints, for we can carry our remaining karma with us to the Pure Land. As long as we have true unwavering beliefs, the vow to proper conduct, are honestly mindful of Buddha Amitabha, everyone will achieve attainment. We see this very clearly in the Infinite Life Sutra and the Amitabha Sutra. Therefore, when generating the heart to renounce worldly life and become monks and nuns, we must achieve attainment. This is part A. Part A, which is quoted, which is quoted the ways of changing destinies to acknowledge our faults. Now we pass to reform our faults thoroughly. And let us see next video. I'm Dr. Ndomo Melingi Therese, called by our Lord Almighty God for a sacred mission to fulfill his thought. Then we can get our own knowledge of who is God, who are we, as we are the creatures of that God who created us in his image according to Genesis. Let us now remember the ways of changing destiny. A is to acknowledge our faults, right? B, we are taking B to read in the next video. God bless all of us and help us to understand his teaching. Let us take another video to read part B, to reform faults thoroughly. God bless all of you. I'm your sister, I'm your mother, I'm your auntie, I'm your grandmother, I'm your grandmother. listen to this teaching of changing destiny in Africa around God's chosen people who were scattered all over the world. God be with all of you, and listen to this. As you know, today is April 8th, 2024.